for so long, believing that day would come. He heard me and he pulled me out. He put me right here for such a time as now.
Come on, clap your hands, do that funky dance.
Good news, got that old made new, got that joy coming through, got me feeling alright. Good news, got that skip in my step, feel that beat in my chest, got that.
One day this week, I was walking through the house, and all of a sudden, the TV was on, and all of a sudden it said, breaking news, breaking news. You know, that gets our attention. And I stopped, and I listened. You know, they sort of tease you into that. I stopped, and I listened. And what they said wasn't breaking news. It was something I had heard earlier in the week. The breaking news this week is not that Joe Biden is running for president again, but the breaking news this week is that Aaron Rodgers has been traded to the New York Jets. To me, that is the breaking news. To me, that is a surprise. It's astonishing to me. But sometimes the networks tease you into something they want you to see and they want you to hear. And so often it's something you've heard in the past. It really is not breaking news. You know, news travels so fast in our day and time. I mean, something on the other side of the world we hear almost instantly. News travels fast. I remember years back, maybe 15 years ago, I was at Greenview United Methodist Church. It was during the time of the Iraq War, and my son was in Fallujah, Iraq. And my son is a tremendous West Virginia University football fan. He was then and he is now. And you know what I did on Saturdays when West Virginia played football? This is what I did. I turned the radio on, and I listened to the game on the radio, and I sat beside a computer, and I gave him a play-by-play conversation of the game. And you know what? He responded instantly. Communication and news in our day and time travels so quickly, so fast. It's almost instant. You know, in biblical times, in the times of Jesus, news did not travel fast. It was very, very slow. It was by word of mouth. People moved from one community to another, and the news traveled by word of mouth. The resurrection and the life of Jesus traveled very slowly. People had to tell others what they had seen and what had happened. And you know, a lot of people, if you think about it, did not have the courage or the boldness to tell what happened. That Jesus died and he was resurrected back to life. In that day and time, that was not an easy story to tell. In our day and time, it's not an easy story to tell. You know, the disciples did this, and also the Apostle Paul. You have the disciples, and then you have the Apostle Paul. Okay? Paul was probably the most bold and the most courageous of all the disciples. He wrote the majority of the New Testament. He founded communities of faith all over that part of the world. He probably talked about the good news of the resurrection more than any other disciple or more than any other apostle. Paul had boldness. He had courage. He talks and he preaches about the cross and the resurrection. And he preaches about the appearances of Jesus to others. He talks about Jesus appearing to Mary Magdalene. He talks about Jesus appearing to Peter. He talks about Jesus appearing to the disciples as a whole. And he talks about Jesus appearing to more than 500 at one time, at one place, at the Mount of Olives. And he tells people, he says, if you don't believe me, ask others. Many of them are still around, although some of them have died. This took boldness and it took courage. It took boldness and it took courage. In our day and time, how much boldness and how much courage do we have? Even to talk about the resurrection, how much boldness and courage do we have? I don't see a lot of courage and boldness in our lives today. I don't have much courage and much boldness. I don't have the courage and boldness that I should have. Paul had courage and boldness, even more than those others. He stepped out and he spoke about the good news of Jesus Christ. You know, something has happened in my life. Now, I don't say this to tease you into something. Breaking news. This is sort of breaking news in my life. Something has happened in my life. Something has happened in my life. And it was almost impossible for this to happen. You may say, well, he's exaggerating. You may say, well, people made it happen. Well, people may have had a hand in it. But no one could have made this happen except the risen Lord, the risen Jesus. He is the only one that could have made this happen, because there were so many steps that had to happen, and none of them had a possibility of happening, but yet they all did. Is this a miracle? Yes, it is a miracle. It is a modern day miracle. But I, right now, don't have the courage or the boldness to tell this story. Not now. You know, we should give thanks of all those in the past, the disciples, the Apostle Paul, members of our family, members of our church family, that had the boldness to talk about the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Think about that. Everything always returns back to us to make a decision, whether to believe or accept. You know, all that Paul talked about returned back to him. He said Jesus appeared to all these people, and then he appeared to me.
I've been quiet for way too long. I can't fight it. No more. Got a story, and it's time to tell. 'Cause I just can't keep it to myself. Somebody give me a microphone or a megaphone or a telephone. You're gonna clap your hands, gonna wanna dance. Good news, got that old maid new, got that joy coming through, got me feeling alright. Good news, got that skip in my step, feel that beat in my chest, got that love in my life. I'm talking good news. I got that good news. Yeah, I've been praying for so long,